I want to quote Standing Orders 59.1. It says, the Speaker may, in consultation with leadership, suspend a meeting of the House indefinitely or for a period determined by the Speaker, having regard to the public interest and the exigencies of the state of affairs in the country. Honorable members, I have consulted leadership and I am exercising my discretion to decide to suspend the meeting of the House indefinitely. The House is accordingly adjourned sine die.
So that was the Speaker of Parliament adjourning the House indefinitely yesterday. Let's go by the telephone line and speak to a political scientist and also the director for the European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Asah-Asante. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us here on the Morning Star.
Good morning, Na.
I hope you're well.
I'm very well. And yourself?
I am well. Thank you very much for asking. So yesterday, I keep saying that a lot of people had their eyes on Parliament. They really wanted to know what exactly the Speaker was going to do. Many had said that disobeying the Supreme Court was not an option. And so they really wanted to find out exactly how the Speaker was going to go around this whole issue. Subsequently, he chose to adjourn the House indefinitely. First of all, your thoughts on how things unfolded and how the Speaker approached this?
I think it went well. Our fears were allayed because sanity prevailed, and that is how it ought to be. So I was happy. All those who made it work, I salute them and commend them for good work done. Having said this, come back to the issue about how things turn out there. The Speaker decision that he announced the House, taking into consideration certain provisions in the Constitution and then the standing orders, particularly the one that hinges on having a quorum that enables you to take decisions. That is where the crux of the matter is. That yes, Parliament had a quorum, which is 1/3, but they did not have at least about 50% of the members present in the chamber. So based on that, he, without fixing a date that Parliament was going to return, that is again Senegal. For me, that was a very critical decision that was reached, and I commend the Speaker for that. Now, that at least calmed the nerves of this country and then gave us hope that if we're able to put our acts together, we will be able to take it from where the Speaker left off. You and I are alive to parliamentary proceedings and processes, and we know that when things of this nature happens, the person, the people that are critical in this type of business are the leadership of the House. So this is the time that they will put their heads together and trying to, chart a path that will bring us what? Peace. And at the end of the day, calm will be restored to Parliament for government business to continue. So I was surprised that with this knowledge, we are now seeing or hearing certain decisions by the majority, for instance, saying that they are going to trigger a process to get the Speaker back. All right. That, for me, takes away that beautiful aspect of the conversation of what? Consensus building. Because once you do that, you bring the Speaker back. All right. Is it the case that you have done your homework to also have at least a conversation with your colleague or the opposite. Has that been done, or just you want to trigger that process to force, if you like, force the speaker to come and say it? But remember, the speaker can be brought in through that process. And then at the end of the day, if the speaker tells you that I want to, now legal processes are being served, so I want to stay. So the Supreme Court takes hand down a ruling on the matter. Then what? Are we back to square one or not? So I believe that this is the time of dialogue, but this is not a time of,
muscle
I
flexing.
know disagreements are the oils that grease the wheels of governance, without which they grind to a halt. But I believe that this is not the time to apply that type of oil in the business that we are handling.
So you would expect that within this period, there should be more dialogue rather than this whole back and forth about we are going to trigger a recall, and some saying that, well, if you trigger the recall, there's most likely going to be the speaker could probably take the same decision to adjourn, and he would cite that because there are cases in courts in relation to proceedings or what happens in Parliament, we would want to address that first. But beyond the speaker's decision and the aftermath of everything. First of all, in terms of the chamber, when everything started, we saw that both of them were occupying the side of the majority, because both of them insist that they are the majority. Subsequently, we had the NPP group leave the chamber, saying that they did not want to be part of chaotic scenes. What did you make of that as well?
I think that both groups handled the issue maturely. Yes, because the MPP could have also gone in there and tried to sit where they were before or prior to the speaker's ruling. And that would have been a chaotic situation. So, yes, they saw that and they decided to stay away, be in their offices. The NDC also were there, and as their colleagues were around, we never saw any form of incident. I commend both groups for the way they comported themselves. And so I believe that they should, the leadership should take that, seat to another level by going to sit down, and arrive at something that will bode well for our democracy.
Now let's focus on the NPP group in Parliament. I mean, this whole particular issue about the seats is topical now because of the numbers in Parliament. In 2020, when it happened, nobody really did mind because the NPP enjoyed a very comfortable majority. So it did not matter that one seat was being declared vacant. But this time around, the numbers are close. They all have the same numbers. But for the independent parliamentary representative who chose to caucus with them, we have 137 on both sides. Yesterday, after the whole back and forth in Parliament, we saw pictures of the leadership of the NPP group with two of the members who have decided to go independent. One is the MP in the Central Region. The other is a member of Parliament for Suhum Kwejo, Asante. We saw pictures. Even though there was no explicit saying, many of the assertions or people impugned that they had put their differences aside and decided not to perhaps run again. But both of them have come out to clear the air and say that they are still going to run. Could this decision to go independent, could it have been prevented?
Normally, when people want to go independent, they have good reasons for doing that. But I believe that sometimes born out of frustrations within the political party. Sometimes there's a grand scheme within the party to, as it were, ask some people within the political space. So once they get that, they pay the party back through this type of issue. So that is what I can see. But look, what will prevent any of such occurrences in the future is what is at the appropriate forum of the Supreme Court. Once the court rules on that, we'll be able to take a cue from there, and that issue will be settled once and for all. Over the years, it comes up, Parliament handle it one way or the other, and all that. So I am happy that it is before the Supreme Court. Once the court pronounces on that, it becomes nothing but law, and it will be enforced rigidly.
And these overtures that the party seemingly made to these independent candidates yesterday, that unfortunately it turns out did not yield anything. Could they have probably done that earlier? We probably would not be here.
Political parties employ all manner of schemes and processes. But thank God, yesterday you also heard that all those arrangements were just nothing but propaganda. The people came out denying that they were still bent on taking their decision and
going independent.
But that said, we're saying that everything is possible under the umbrella of politics. So if you don't want people to go independent and all that, you can have a way of dealing with that. That tells you that the conflict resolution mechanisms within political parties are getting broken down by the day. Because when people go through contests, obviously there will be pain. And whenever they are pain, there should be procedures to mending their differences and making sure that they stay within the family. So when they go out, I expect political parties to take a sober reflection on them and see what has gone wrong and be able to deal with that. For political parties, they operate based on consensus building and compromises. Yes. Once you run away from these two concepts, you always have problems with that.
And so, for instance, for those who say that the leadership of the party or even in Parliament should be taking the blame for where we are at this moment. I mean, should they be taking the blame for this?
The blame, I'm not sure where do we place them now. But for purposes of, conversation, there are so many of them. You see, but I believe that in terms of the blame, it's actually linked to the law and its meaning. People have different meanings as to what ought to exist. So the good news is what I have already said, that whatever meaning each person has relative to 97(1) G and H, the appropriate forum is the Supreme Court. Once they deliver, it will provide us with the focus and direction as to future occurrences and guide our conduct. You remember when they ruled on a presiding member, a deputy speaker presiding over an issue?
Yes.
Is he also part of voting and all that? As they rule, you saw that all the noise and the politics and attack against the court gone. So it is in the same light that I view that once the Supreme Court deliver, which I have hope that the Supreme Court would deliver as always, and then once they do that, that problem will be solved forever. So now let us hold all the conversation and leave it to the appropriate forum for the 971 G and H, because I trust in the wisdom of the Supreme Court. They will deliver. and that all the noise that we have will be a thing of the past. What I have seen from where I sit is that we as a country should begin to make, take a certain step to deal with certain things that really affects parliamentary practice and our democracy in general. Let me give you an example. If you look at the happenings in Parliament and the controversy surrounding it, it tells you that it is about time we develop that political question doctrine here, where we'll be able to take off the hands of the Supreme Court in certain areas that are political in nature to save the court from all manner of troubles. We should also not lose sight on the fact that the court is a human institution and we cannot kill them before their natural time that they will die. We overload them with work. We are inundated with cases that the Supreme Court, you recall that recently the Chief Justice did say that he saw going through some of the work that the judges are doing. One of the judges was handling 1,000 cases. We as a society have gone to sleep. We didn't take it, we didn't place premium on that. But for me, look, if one person is handling 1,000 cases, amount to like we are killing the person slowly. So we should be able to craft something that will lessen the burden of the Supreme Court so that it will not handle all manner of cases, that a few that it can handle and it can handle with dispatch. It will be able to do that so that matters of this nature, when they come, they can quickly rise up to the occasion. People criticize them that they don't do this, they don't do that. But we have also failed to look at their workload that confront them every day. All right. So in other jurisdictions, they have constitutional courts. They look at constitutional matters. The API court will look at that, and other ones will be handled by others. The U.S. Supreme Court handles fewer cases, I think 50 a year or so, the rest push somewhere.
Okay.
We should have a conversation towards that so that we lessen the work of the Supreme Court so that matters that, trigger their original jurisdiction and all that, they concentrate on that so that they can give it to us on time. And that is account for some of the delay. We saw how the Mr. Domuluvo was being hounded from office, and then civil society took the matter to the court. By the time the Supreme Court ruled, the person had already been out of office. It is also a function of the workload that confront them every day. So once we deal with this, they will have a free hand to deal with things with dispatch, and then some of these problems that we have to solve, and we move on.
Now, just my final question to you. Recently, we've seen the two political parties. This has to do with the politics of crowds and whether these crowds necessarily translate into votes. We've seen the NDC, for instance, have a victory walk in Bantama, and they've been making a lot of noise about it. To pull such numbers in Bantama Bonsam Jim, as they call it, is a huge indication that they are making inroads in the Ashanti region. In the Volta region as well, the camp of the Vice President and flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, they are talking highly about how the reception has been warm in the Volta region, and then they are also pointing to the crowd that was at the rally of the Vice President and flag bearer in Akachi North, and indicating that they are equally making inroads in the Volta region. What's this in the numbers game, especially in these strongholds of their opponents?
In political science, we have reasons why people vote the way they do, voter behavior. If you go into the literature, you will see psychological voting behavior, behavior influenced by psychology, the one that influenced by economy and the rest of them, sociological and the rest of them. You can have, I just want to build from the psychological standpoint. It leads you into type of technique in propaganda.
Okay.
And that technique is nothing but what we call bandwagon effect. What is this effect? This effect simply points to the fact that, look, when things of this nature happen, people, you see the numbers at a rally, at a place, the parties, the numbers may not necessarily be a true representation of people who wanted to be part of that program. It could be true, it could be false. It could be false in the sense that it could be, a rented crowd, bars from places and go there to paint a picture for you to believe that, look at the multitude of people who have gathered here. Why are you there alone? There is a need for you to come and join the winning team. Look at you standing somewhere alone. It's just to work on your mind, propaganda effect.
Okay.
Right? And normally it is used in politics to achieve certain ends. Remember that Adolf Hitler, that was one of the things that he used a lot of propaganda, and it has been employed in advertising, marketing, and in politics you see a number of them. So there is always that crowd politics. They will take a picture, splash it on the screen of television, and people, the newspaper, back of newspapers, and you say, wow, this is NDC rally. This is MPP rally. Look, they are winning. But I tell you, you and I are alive to the fact that people vote based on Dan's conversation that people base their choices of leaders on what? Things that affect their very survival, what they derive from what? The message that is turned out to them. So called the rational choice theory. People are rational and they listen to messages that really gravitate to them, that satisfy their interests. And in this country, it is abundantly clear and that people vote, number one, based on what? The economy. When the economy is healthy, it robust everybody and make life work better for every human being. So when you have difficulties, people will shy away from that party that has made things difficult for them. And I want to bring your mind back to the message that was sent by President Kufuor during 2000 election, which he said, "Shawasitinum not to Papa, to Abapa." To it, just take note of your economic well-being, and if it is worth maintaining, why not? If not, take a drastic decision towards that. And you saw how it worked the magic, because over the years, and people sometimes they say that, this year the election will be fought based on the economic issues. It is not this year. If you read the literature, they tell you that every year in Ghana, people vote based on what? Economic what?
Mm-hmm.
How healthy is the economy? What is the level of inflation and all that? And you don't need to be Adam Smith. Just an ordinary person will tell you that I go to market, I used to buy X material for this amount. Today, the same X material I'm buying at a higher price. Then they know inflation is in there. They don't need Ghana Statistical Service to provide them with any data on that. They are alive to that. When spare parts are going high, those who buy and those who sell will complain, and they know where it is. When exchange rate is affecting their job, they will not wait for somebody to tell them that the fundamentals are weak and all that. So these are the things that influence voter choice number one. And apart from that, they also move into other areas such as what infrastructure development and all that. So the people must be mindful of the fact that at this time of the day, propaganda will be churned out, but they need to stay alive with their eyes widely open and they are able to know. But it's a function of what we are doing, because my mothers, my sisters, not everybody will have this type of knowledge to be able to assess the situation. But a continuous engagement with them, with what we are doing, is the way to go.
All right, Doc. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
You had to speak to Dr. Asah-Asante. He is a political scientist at the University of Ghana and also director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana as well. And that will be it in relation to this. But Ibrahim Alassan will join me in a bit as we go through some of the highlights from what happened in the Parliament today. But I'll go for a short break. When I return, that is what we'll be doing. We'll also have in the course of the show, we'll bring you our science and tech segment, Horizon. Our guest is already in the building. This is the Morning Star here on Star 103.5 FM.
Let's have breakfast on the Morning